So Carl, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about, who you are and what's your background?
Well, yeah. Well, Blake, as you know, my name's Carl Flores, and I'm the former chief of EMS for the City of New Orleans. I did, I've done about 30 years in EMS, and now I reside as the burn outreach coordinator at University Medical Center. So it's a polar opposite thing, but with still same intensity. But my major goal is to bring burn education and bring some of the expertise there. And one of the major pieces of that is in burns is a stop the bleeding process, and then the other thing is remove all constricting things. So this fits right in my wheelhouse with ring rescue. And in my background in EMS, was former rescue technician, worked my way up the ranks to chief. But as that, I have instructor licenses and certifications in rescue response, both light, medium, and heavy rescue.
Oh, that's great. Well, we really appreciate the time today, Carl. And so we're here to talk a little bit about stuck rings and the stuck ring problem holistically and what it looks like out in your industry. So what type of stuck ring scenarios might come across in your different fields, whether it's EMS or in the burn unit?
The issue came in, we had one most recently in our state where we had a hydrofluoric acid release, and a gentleman who normally was not used to going out there went to go check the valve because it was an alarming piece. No PPE, no anything, wound up having some issue, and this made the news locally. But again, that was one that they had to rapidly get in, start removing a certain type of clothing with that hydrofluoric acid. So that's a most recent thing from the burn. From an EMS perspective, I can't tell you all the rings or even other items that you've had to cut off of individuals that you would not imagine that you would have to do, but people get into precarious situations. But most notably for us, we have a little event annually here in New Orleans where things just get stuck all the way around, or how things happen, because we have a little bit of spirits that go on, and next thing you know, someone either wants to try or someone else's ring on, or with kids, they take the darndest things that you may even find, like on the street or whatever. They think it's a ring, and it could be like a washer or something like that, or a throw, if you will, and they try and put it on their finger, and next thing you know, it gets stuck. So we've had to resolve several of those issues throughout my career.
Wow. Pretty expansive. Yes. And kids get their fingers stuck in the darndest things. There's no question. Yeah. And so, like, how often in your past experience would you say that you guys would come across a stuck ring scenario?
On average, for us, it was seasonal, like anything else. I mean, when you had these Mardi Gras festivals, guess what? We'd have a peak, and it would almost seem like, oh man, we had, 12 ring removals in this 2-week span to Mardi Gras, and we may not see another one till the next festival in Jazz Fest, when kids are kind of playing around and things of that nature. So, but on average, I would say it's probably about 24 a year, I would think, in the city of New Orleans, a general area.
Wow. Yeah. So when it comes to ring removal, in the EMS side and just holistically, did you ever receive any training? Like, is there training out there for folks on stuck ring removal in the industry?
No, not really. I mean, growing up, it was mainly, hey, look, you try and not agitate the finger. Like, again, I'm old, right? So internet wasn't around when I took the EMT class. Now, just as this video is going to air, there's anyone can Google anything and YouTube it. And I think most famously, when I talk about ring removal now and even do instruction class, a lot of people are quickly bringing up these videos or have seen it. And so people look at the traditional things today and the growing evolution of using the oxygen mask. That one was the famous one, and the string along it. I think what I'm cautious with individuals about is to let them know it has to be case by case dependent. While I get that you're ready to not call other resources in and have them come to your scene, and you may be able to mitigate it, that it may be fine if you have a angry finger or a very aggressive component where someone has been trying for days on end and their finger swollen, or it's some other piece, and you try this, you could cause further damage to the point of skin rupture or or even some nerve damage by hitting some vessels. And I think that's the cautious thing that I would tell medics is don't get in there and be quickly evasive, because you don't know what that patient has done. So you have to ask what are the interventions, and that's a big cautionary component when we teach, even from the light to heavy rescue side.
And so, in terms of that, how important would you say, Carl, is it to have a procedural approach in anything, but ring removal specifically? But do you think it's important to have a procedural approach in ring removal?
Yeah, look, I mean, that was a secret sauce to our success in New Orleans, is that you build a process for everything, right? And you might as well do it from the ground up. And once you set that basis, that's what you maintain. And so even in something that seems as simple as possible, and look, we failed at it for a long time in New Orleans because it was a lot of stuff. Hey, we know how to intubate, we know how to do this. So we created clinical policies and procedures. This would be along that same lines. And when you train, you create policies and procedures or components in your training, but to incorporate. So yeah, it's absolutely 100% because it's regimented. Then it becomes routine as you begin to practice.
What does ring removal look like on the burn side? Have you seen any stuck rings in the burn side in the past, and what does that kind of look like?
So for us, I mean, look, I'm in my infancy still by comparison with some of the guys. So we've seen a lot more than me by comparison from a burn perspective. But in the end, it goes down to the basis. So this is why we're telling the medics from the get-go, have the rings off, take that equipment off before, because the issue is a burn is never going to get better, right? Immediately. Within the first 24 hours, the only thing it's going to do is get worse. So a burn will look worse. Something that may look like a second degree superficial may turn out to be a partial thickness at that point in time within 24 hours. It's only going to get worse as time goes on. And the other thing is, a lot of people forget, just teaching a class about it to an EMS crew, is remember to elevate, and that's a big deal. And that it resonates even when you get this off, because it goes back to the basics, right? I need to elevate to allow blood flow to go back to the heart. And if you don't do that, then things are going to swell. It's the same thing with burns, right? So that's why I elevate a hand, and it's the same thing with ring removal. So you want to get that fluid flowing back, but you have to give them that piece.
Wow. Interesting. So with your teams in the past, so what have been the methods in order to remove a stuck ring before the ring rescue compression device?
Yeah, again, I mean, we went really old school, trying to incorporate, because remember, an ambulance can only hold so much, and you're already holding a lot. And from a viscous perspective, there's not much we can keep on there. The main thing is the water soluble KY jelly or something of that component. So 9 times out of 10, we're at someone's house, we'll ask them, do you have something more viscous than this that we can use? And they usually do, something like cooking oil. But again, if they've already caused damage, it could cause more damage. So our guys have to be cautious of that. And then the main thing is we've kind of tried the tugging and pulling and adjustment, the two-hand or two-technician approach to kind of help it and flatten things out. And then of course you have those strings or oxygen masks. Those are the things. And unfortunately, the ones that we have to, and it always broke my heart doing it, when you exhaust every component because of it. And usually, the only time we really want to cut it when it's an emergent perspective. But it's an unfortunate thing you want to do. I think the ones that hurt the most are, that elderly female that with her husband has been married for 50 years. That's the ring you don't want to cut. That's what keeps you up at night and hurts you. So if you can get it off by some of the means, let me tell you, the elation that patient will have and admiration for you after to save that is remarkable, them and the family, because you're able to save that memory for them.
Hey folks, check in for our next episode of Stuck in the Middle with the one and only Carl Flores, where we continue our great conversation. He tells us about a crazy ring removal story, what folks should be doing when they come across a stuck ring removal case in the field, and then thirdly, where our compression device should be in sites and departments to help professionals remove rings non-destructively to help preserve that precious property. So look forward to seeing you next time, folks. Have a wonderful day.